Okay, this is my unboxing video of a new Kove 450 Rally Street Legal version. I'm excited to unbox the bike, get it assembled, and see what it looks like. One thing that has me concerned is that it says the color is red. Talking to Marty, when I placed my order, she described the red one as being the one with the UN suspension, whereas the teal was going to be the one with the KYB suspension. Start by taking the straps, cutting the straps off. Better tool for the job. Whoa, they're under more tension than expected. Be careful with that. I'm thinking my Stark Varg toolkit might be enough to assemble the bike. We'll see. It's not immediately apparent what color the bike is yet. Peeling it this way is easier than taking it off the top. Let's look at the graphics here. It's the right color. I am going to be using the rear tank. While I'm noticing that this is not connected, I might as well just snap it in. Yeah, you can tuck it back there. Let's remove the parts box here. Remove this rear wheel. Could just clip it, but this wire could be nice to use for something else, and it's easy to just twist it off. They're still using the same tires, CST EX01. Yeah, same tire they've been using for a couple of years as the standard tire for the non-full-blown race editions. Alright, I'll set the tire aside for now. Now before I take this cover off, let's get the top of the metal crate off. In case I do smack the bike a little bit, it'll be somewhat protected. The levers, another cable tie here for the handlebars. I gotta be able to get the handlebars out of the way so I can get the top crate and pivot it off. So I have to undo the bar clamps here because interestingly, this part of the crate goes into the bar clamps. It's a very nice design, makes everything very sturdy and keeps the bike from shifting around in the crate. 10mm hex heads. There's also a Torx center that you can use to loosen these, but I think it's less likely to strip if we just stick to the 10mm. I love that it comes with stock dampers built into the bar clamps here. Just one of many awesome details that Kove incorporates into their stock bikes. Oops, don't lose a damper. Now I'm going to undo all these bottom bolts on the crate and see if I can pivot the crate backwards without any assistance. 14mm bolts on the crate. The nut is welded on the other side, so that makes it easier to take the bolts off. Loosen them all up and then take them off by hand. So I've removed 6 of the bolts. I just left the ones in the rear on. Let's see. This can be done solo. I don't want this bar to scratch the windshield here. Yep, it's looking good. It's hitting my garage door a little bit. Yeah, but you can just bend it down and out of the way. Yeah, very nice. Remove those last 2 bolts. Hopefully I didn't build up too much tension in them. Feels like I'm gonna have to use a 14mm wrench. Oh, perfect. I got a ratcheting one. There's a little bit of tension that builds up with this method, so be careful when the bolt comes all the way out. Let's bend these down to reduce the potential for the wind knocking it over. So I think we're ready to take the cover off. I don't think the original bike came with this type of cover on it. So I'm going to use that hook that's into one of the ceiling joists. I'm going to use it to lift the bike up to install the front wheel. I'm almost perfectly centered. It's light enough to move around pretty easily. Oh wow, this is a This is a change. So they've integrated the ABS sensor into the spacer for the front wheel. This is going to make installation so much easier. In Kove's video, I saw how they kind of struggled to get this aligned and installed. Oh, that's a great improvement. Let's take some more of this plastic off. Yeah, baby. Let me get the bar clamps back on there. At least finger tight. See, there seems to be a little notch. There's a notch on this top clamp that'll help you align the bar, so it does have an orientation. It needs to be rotated 180 degrees like this, so I can use that notch for alignment on both sides. These fasteners feel high quality. They're easy to align, and you can tighten them by hand. It's always a good sign. I'm going to install them in a neutral position to start. Now these are supposed to be torqued to 16 foot-pounds. My Starkvarg torque wrenches are in Newton meters. Let's do the conversion. 22 Newton meters, 16 foot-pounds, 22 Newton meters. There we go. There we go. There we go. What is this on this side? Oh, it's just a light. Interesting that it's shipped with it kind of loose. So this should be the left-hand side controls and clutch lever. For the clutch lever, you need a T30 socket to install. It also has a hex head, probably an 8mm. Now the clutch lever has to be installed to the left of this little dot, I believe, so that it'll clear the controls. Let's do that and leave it loose for now. Kind of have to install it to the left of that dot anyway, because you enter into the curved portion shortly after that dot, so there's little risk that you're going to install it wrong. And for these controls, you just need a Phillips. For any assembly process, it always seems like you end up using 3 times more tools than you thought you needed. Okay, that's an important thing to note there, that you want the wiring for the switch gear to be, so there's a pin here, and there's a hole here on the bottom of the handlebar, and this little pin needs to seat in there. So that's one element that's given. There we go. You'll feel it pop in, and that's technically the correct position. Tighten the screws on the switch gear. They seem to have some kind of retention feature so they don't fall all the way out, which is smart. So far, everything seems high quality and good attention to detail. Don't strip them. So it was easier to get this installed, installing the clutch lever second. Fasteners align well, and the fact that you can hand tighten them all the way is a good indication that they're high quality. I'm going to be riding standing quite a bit on this bike, but let's start with a reasonable position there. Remove this cover. Nice. Yep. So it clears. Loosen the brake side and rotate it a little bit forward. Although I don't know what the final angle is yet, since I don't have the bike on its front tire, but it's certainly going to have to be rotated forward to some level. Now what's next? There's a nut that allows a wire to go through. You tighten from the back side of the plastics here. 16mm wrench works. I don't think you need to be too tight on this. Same thing on the other side. Place the light forward. Make sure it's flush here between the plastic and the rubber. Get the nut started by hand. Gotta put some pressure on the nut to make sure it starts catching. Seems to have a torque retention feature. Like if it's a nylock nut maybe. That seems good. So let's go ahead and remove the front fender that's strapped onto the rear tire here. No, Kove! No, Kove! It's supposed to get pretty windy later today. It's been windy. It's very windy in March around these parts. These tie-down straps are pretty loose. Should be able to just remove them. They're not doing anything anymore. Wow, look at this one. This one had almost ripped all the way through. But because Kove does install that bar that goes through the bar clamps and onto the metal crate, it's not an issue with one of these tears. But these are the thinnest straps I've ever seen. I didn't know they made them this thin, and I wouldn't recommend you keep these straps to do anything else with them later. The bike is still on there pretty sturdy. Now I'm thinking of going underneath here. So I need to slide this forward about a foot or so. It's a nice thing about having a fairly light bike. I already hung my entire body weight off of that hook there. I know it can be able to handle the weight of the bike. Don't want to put much tension on it yet until I loosen the front nuts over here. Yeah, I think this is going to work great. I think I'm going to get the tire onto this ramp here so I can take the metal crate completely out. Loosen these front nuts. They do appear to be 14 millimeters. Well, that wasn't tight at all. Bike wants to fall over. Why does it want to fall over? Because the muffler is heavier on that side. See if I can lift this rear up by myself here. Let me get the transmission in gear. Nope. There we go. So the rear tire doesn't spin on me. Yep. So nice having a light bike. The strap's doing some work. Let's have it do even more work. All right, strap. And we're free. Yes, I should be able to clear the fork. Now I think I actually want to set the tire just on the ground so that we get more lift in the front. Get the front fender on. This is really poorly taped keys manual. I wonder how this manual compares to the free one that you can download. 3rd edition, 23, same as what's online. So I've looked through a good part of this already. One of the keys in the ignition. So here's a front axle. We'll look to lube that in a bit. Mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? This is the battery. The hardware for the fender is actually on the bike itself here. Same T30 bolt. Get a second person and a proper hydraulic lift. Don't do what I'm doing. On the fender, get the little top hats. Put the hat on the top side. See, the plastic has these nice little ridges here that really, the plastic digs little teeth into the little top hats to keep them in position. Nice quality detail there. At first I thought it was like poorly cut holes, like bad flashing, but no, it's actually a retention feature. It makes these little hats go in tight and then they grab so they don't fall out. All these fasteners thread easily by hand. These should align easily now that I got 2 finger tight all the way in. Getting close. Just gotta get that front tire on. Yeah, this spacer goes on this side, but shouldn't there be a spacer on this side? Oh, it comes on the axle, so you can't lose it. And this goes on the side opposite the disc. The spacer for the other side is right here, clipped onto the brake lines. Make sure you don't damage the brake lines with whatever you're cutting the cable tie. Let the controversial comments ensue about whether you should grease the axle or not. Kove recommends it. Done it pretty much on every bike, and it does seem to help it go in a little bit easier. More just to help installation, not because there's going to be any movement there. I guess there's some inserts here that were part of the shipping. They should be 10 millimeter though. Yeah, these spacers are just part of the shipping. There was no way the axle was gonna slide through that. Alright. Got the disc between the brake pads. That's always a win. Now this new spacer doesn't have a notch, so it doesn't seem to have a clear orientation. I guess it can be in a variety of different orientations and still work. Okay, they've gone all the way through. That went in fairly easily, almost too easy. Feels like the forks were spread out more than I've typically seen on other bikes. It made for an easy install, but what size nut is this? 22 for the front axle nut. 64 foot-pounds, I believe. I can tighten the front axle to 64 foot-pounds without tightening the pinch bolts on the other side, which is kind of odd, but there we go. Spins freely. Oh man. That's not good. There's like no front brake pressure. That is quite strange. I didn't damage anything here. At least there's enough brake pressure to align the front axle, but these front brakes are going to need to be bled or something. I can lock it because there's no load on the front tire, but as soon as I'm rolling, I don't think that's going to be the case. I do see brake fluid. It's not like it's missing brake fluid. Yeah, they seem to be getting better as I pump them. Now that I've tightened front axle to 64 foot-pounds, did the alignment procedure, I can go ahead and tighten the pinch bolts on both sides. And these front pinch bolts are 10 millimeter. Peel these off. Okay, let's go ahead and peel off this. Don't think there's too much risk of damaging it now. Peel the screen off. Yeah, that QC sticker. Let's get the seat off so we can install the battery. I love how it has an easy release there. Oh wow, a plastic bag with an elastic bit on it. Oh no, it's just to protect it. Looks like it's a lithium-ion battery, so that's another nice bit. You don't have to worry about upgrading on your Kove. It's got a nice strap. It fits in nice and tight. Install the positive first so you don't get sparkies. Let's use an 8 millimeter instead of a Phillips. Now let's install the negative. The negative is a tight stretch here. I think it was just kind of caught underneath the battery. Whoa, whoa. That's why you have these covers so you don't end up short-circuiting. Make sure you tighten it. Tighten the negative terminal, the ground terminal well. See if there's signs of life. Here the fuel pump. Nice startup screen. We are live and we have no fuel. It's so nice that a dual sport bike comes with a display like this. Battery's hooked up correctly. There is some damage here on these rear stickers, but after the beating this bike's going to go through off-road, all of that is trivial. It's going to look good for one day. Don't forget to strap your battery down. Nice strap. Everything is nice on this bike. Everything looks high quality. Where are the fuses? Underneath here? Yeah, there they are. So I'm going to install a switch on this blue fuse here. I think it's this 15 amp fuse. That's the ABS fuse. Yep, ABS 15 amp, ABS 2 10 amp. I'm going to install a switch so I can turn the ABS off with a switch on the dash. Easy to get the seat on. So many other bikes it's a struggle. Remove some weight off the strap, pushing this through. think I'll stand on this side since, let's get it in neutral. Yeah, there. Got the weight off the strap by rolling it up onto the ramp even more. Alright, now as I drop it, it should stay kind of where it's at. Then I can roll it back. This worked out very well. Roll it back enough to get it onto its the side stand. There we go. Perfect. No accidents. Was there ever any doubts? Yeah, there was lots of doubts. After all that, I still have the one concern about the front brake apparently needing to be bled. Now I think if I hold pressure on the lever with a bungee, that might squeeze the air out, or at least bring it up to the top. I'm gonna try that and see if I don't have to go through a full brake bleed. Have to adjust the suspension later. See how tall she feels. Very tall. Fully assembled. Gonna go get some fuel, start it up. Let's confirm that it does have coolant and oil. Coolant, I see it on the lid. I can see coolant pretty much to the top of the fins there, so there's coolant in the bike. Now for the oil, you want to make your own little dipstick. So you want 5 inches down. 5 inches down, we're going to cut a cable tie. So with 5 inches, we should get 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch of oil at the tip here. 6mm hex. Oh, that's tight. I'm going to add some oil. Yeah, I'm not liking the fact that it's short on oil. I think I am dipping into the very bottom. So I'll leave it there. I added 100 milliliters and I'll check it again after running the bike a bit. Let's go get a gallon of premium, see if the bike will start up. What the stock pressures that it shipped with are. 17.2 psi. That's a reasonable pressure to ride at. See the rear. It's kind of tricky to get the gauge in here. 22.8. Yeah, those are reasonable pressures, especially if I'm going to be riding in the street. Here we go. Whoa. Fired instantly. That's the quickest start I've ever experienced on any bike. The lights are super bright. Wow, very bright. It's going to make for safe road riding. If you find this type of content useful, please consider subscribing and hit that like button to be notified of future content.